Hello, my name is Gene Park, and welcome to this short video of me explaining and presenting you the process of our research process findings for how we could help Instagram users to solve the problem regarding insufficient control over their content of their feed. We first started this 10-week research by conducting a background research. Each member of our team spent some time on their own researching through social media and online for articles relating to algorithmic bias. On top of our background research, we also have practice with the Twitter dataset as a chance to work with real data to inform ourselves with knowledge of the problem space to create a data analysis report. Here we gathered insights, created visualizations using Tableau, research questions, and potential research plans, and reflected on our experience working with the actual data. After discussing with our teammates after the background research and data analysis, we then created a think aloud protocol for a usability test for existing transparency and report mechanisms for online ads that are targeted to users by algorithms. Here we focused on YouTube, since it was a collectively discussed platform in our background research. As you can see, our team quickly wrote down tasks that we would like our interviewee to approach. We then identified 3 key tasks to write a short interview script to test on users. After individually conducting the usability test on participants, we worked together to consolidate the results and findings. Here we identified 3 key insights from the interviews with our shared notes. One thing to note is that I was able to find joy working with my teammates synthesizing our notes and coming up with new ideas for recommendations, since this was my very first time actually conducting a usability test. Next, we synthesized our previous works, which include background research, findings from data analysis, and usability testing from Think Aloud protocols through Walking the Wall. As you can see here, we put on individual background research and our findings on a shared workplace. We then put down stickies while discussing the important findings and insights to collectively decide the 3 things: breakdowns and needs, design ideas to meet the needs, and questions that we still have. Afterwards, we conducted a reframing activity by using reverse assumptions, since our group discussed and agreed that the realm of social media relies heavily on deeply integrated assumptions. We used pink stickies as our current assumptions, orange stickies for those assumptions that are reversed, and green stickies for how we can mitigate the social media biases with the reversed assumptions. From this activity, we were able to identify a specific area of interest to focus our research. How about we give more agency to the user and the contents they want to consume on media? With an area of focus, we then prepared for our research by completing a research plan with research goals, with questions, participants, technique, leveraged by the importance, time, and priority. Now that we have completed the research plan, we started the contextual interview guide. We first created a draft of our student interview guide by generally jotting down what came to our mind for the main question, interview goals, core questions, contextual method, email template, interview question plan, consent script, and the introduction of our interview. Upon discussing, we refined our draft into a final version. Here we worked to answer our question, how can we allow users to have more perceived and actual control over shaping their feed on Instagram? Since we wanted to learn how users interact with their Instagram feeds, whether certain actions by users have an influence on their Instagram recommendation algorithm, if users understand how their actions affect their feed, and whether there is a bias within Instagram's recommendations. Since we wanted to capture the difference in the algorithm over time instead of one instance, we decided to use journal studies as our primary contextual method. Upon completion of the student interview guide, we each individually had 1 participant for a total of 5 participants to conduct a journal study for a week. Upon the completion of the journal study, the participants were then interviewed by 1 member of our team. Here we also did the interviews remotely with one of the teammates as an interviewer and another one as a note taker to efficiently gather information. After completing the interviews, we then all consolidated our notes into 1 shared Google Sheet. With that, we were able to then conduct affinity diagramming. Here, we were able to collectively categorize the notes from our sessions with core ideas addressing meaningful issues and shared implications. We then worked together to create a research report that covered our executive summary, research method, insights, with our interpretation notes, affinity clustering, and new models to synthesize our data. For our next step, we created surveys. This was a good practice in gaining experience in terms of designing and conducting surveys for data collection in the future. Here we have a survey process report that contains information such as population selection criteria, our survey goals, questions that we brainstormed and selected, with a pilot test to see if our survey works. After pilot testing and slight refinements, we then conducted our survey to 50 different participants to collect data. With the responses, we were able to generate a summary report with key findings and visualizations, along with our survey goals with reflection. Getting deeper into the research, we each individually created storyboards to sketch 3 different scenarios based on a specific user need. Here, the need I identified from my storyboards was users want to spend their time wisely, with the leading question asking, "Have you ever lost track of time scrolling through social media?" With the storyboard, we then conducted speed dating sessions with participants after randomizing our storyboards all together to receive feedback. After the speed dating sessions, we then worked together to discuss the overall findings and insights, common misunderstandings, design need ideas, and design opportunities. From the identified design opportunities, we now dive further into our research by identifying the riskiest assumptions, honest signals, method of measurement, and participants and setting. Here we have a short test script that we created to test the participants and the 2 methods of measurement: customer satisfaction survey to test the subjective benefit from people using the customization settings to tailor their feed, and a system usability scale to test the ease of usability for the customization prototype. To test the identified riskiest assumptions, we created a paper lo-fi prototype to observe quick feedback from participants. This prototype tested if users reported content because they feel like it does not belong to their feed, and what settings matter to the most for users in customizing their experience. The task outlined navigating to the customization page, interacting with the customization features, and observing the changes of their feed. This was our first paper lo-fi prototype to test on our participants. After revising our lo-fi prototype from the pilot tests, we then individually tested our lo-fi prototype on 2 participants each. We then worked together to synthesize our data by creating an affinity diagram. From the testing and affinity diagram, we were able to settle on our next step to create a hi-fi prototype to incorporate the changes needed onto a digital format. To finish off our 10-week research process, we finally created the hi-fi prototype using Figma. Along with the hi-fi prototype, we also created a small poster and a script for the elevator pitch to persuasively present our solution to the problem regarding feed customization. To conclude, this 10-week research process taught me a lot of things. From the variety of ways you could collaborate with your teammates, to many research methods that you could conduct to narrow down your ideas, I must say I was moved by the equal and helpful contribution with my team to find joy in this long process. With the knowledge I gained while conducting the research, and with many other future opportunities to hone my skills, I hope to become a user researcher one day.